This is a story about my father. This is a story that has to do with his early life. And part of it is a difficult story, but it is a story that tells us a lot about Judaism and Jewish faith. My father was born in Germany in 1916, a long time ago. And in those days in Germany, things began to become very difficult for the Jewish people. You may know that there was terrible hatred growing, great anti-Semitism in its most awful ways in those early dark days in Germany. And so my father and his family, experiencing acts of anti-Semitism and violence, left Germany and came to America before World War II actually broke out. And my father came to America because their good friend in Germany, Leo Beck, a wonderful, well-known rabbi, urged him to come to America to become a rabbi. And that's what he did. He arrived in 1936 in America and went to the seminary of the Reform Movement, HUC, to become a rabbi. But this story is about what happened after that. Because my father, once he became a rabbi, joined the American Army. And he joined the Army as a chaplain. A chaplain is someone who is a spiritual leader, in this case a rabbi, who became part of the army to help the soldiers, in this case the Jewish soldiers, but sometimes others, to deal with the war and the impact of war that they were experiencing, and to bring them moments and times of, well, comfort, to be able to observe a Shabbat, even though they were in a battlefield. And so he worked and led services and helped with holidays all the way through the war. But the story isn't even just about that. Because what we all know is that the American Army in World War II ultimately linked up with other armies, the Russian armies, at the Elbe River, and then were able to go into the horrible, horrible circumstances of the concentration camps which the Nazis had built to destroy the Jewish people and others that they hated in Germany. And so my dad was a witness to the battles that led to the defeat of the Nazis. He was a witness and participant as the American Army found victory. And then he stood as a witness to the horrors of the concentration camps. This story really talks about those days, and in particular, the first days he came into the camps. So think for a minute what would be in your mind. Here you had been born in Germany, fled Germany, joined the American Army as a chaplain because you had become a rabbi. You had witnessed the defeat of the Nazis, the victory of the American armies, but now you come upon the concentration camps where the Jewish people and others had been horribly destroyed in the most graphic of ways that anyone could imagine. And here you come into the camps. As I said, my dad was one who witnessed what had gone on at Buchenwald, but at other camps. And as he came into that camp that first day, he rolled in his Jeep. As a chaplain, he was given a Jeep with a trailer. And on the front of the Jeep, there were two flags. One, of course, was the American flag. The other was this flag. This flag, which is the flag of the chaplains, the Jewish chaplains. And you can see the Ten Commandments and a Magan David, a Jewish star. And he rolled in, and because he was German-born, he could speak German, and he said to everyone, I am an American soldier, I am a rabbi, I am a chaplain. I am here to tell you that the Allied armies have arrived. The Nazis are defeated, and you are liberated and free. What would you think would be the reaction? People would be ecstatic. They'd be happy, maybe even to the point of celebration. But that's not what happened. And my dad was surprised. Instead, people were somewhat hiding. They were off on the edges of this area where he had pulled his Jeep in. Some were standing almost off to the side behind buildings. He thought maybe they didn't hear him. Maybe they had been so mistreated that they didn't trust what he was saying. Maybe they had been so beaten down and seen so much death and so much pain that they couldn't react. And so he jumped up on top of his Jeep, and he held out his flag again. And he said again in German, "I am with the Allied armies. You are liberated. You are free. You no longer have to be in fear of Nazis. They are destroyed as an army." And still nothing. Nothing. No reaction. No words, no motion, almost like they were frozen. And he began to think, how else can I communicate? And again he said in German, "You are free. You are liberated by the American army and by Jews around the world." Suddenly they rushed in, they rushed at his Jeep, and they yanked the flag off the stick that held it on the edge of the Jeep. And they began to tear at it, though. They began to tear it into pieces. And he thought to himself, there's such despair here. There is such frustration with what they had suffered and what they had seen and the atrocities that had been visited upon them, that they, in anger, were tearing apart the flag, tearing apart the image of the Ten Commandments and the Jewish star. But then he noticed, in fact, that wasn't the intent, that they were tearing at the flag because each of them wanted to hold some fragment of the only symbol of living Judaism that they had seen in years and years and years. And that for them it was a symbol that perhaps Jewish life and humanity still existed somewhere. They tore at the flag in the realization that they had faith in God and in the future of the Jewish people, even in these most horrible, horrible of days. The story is hard, but its message is important. To maintain our faith as Jews, no matter what we face, is part of the great march of the Jewish people through history. We are all part of it, and we should think about the part we play each day of our lives. Shana Tova.